Welcome to MoneyMitchCards' newest segment, Money Talks. Some of the topics that we're going to be talking about are trading up, trading down, cashing out some cards, some of the recent deals that we've done and recapping those, as well as comps and the ways that we figure out comps and the different websites that we use. All of these are just a few examples of what we feel will bring value to the hobby. The first episode is going to be sports card brokerage, hobby heaters, and myself recapping the Bay Area card show. So this first deal was a guy brought a Josh Allen, what was that? The Donruss Proof Black?
Black out of 10.
A black out of 10 to us. And for me, looking at it, it looked pretty darn good. You looked at it and saw the back corner was a little pinched. I didn't actually see that until you mentioned it. So I was looking at the surface, looking at the corners on the front of this. Did you even see this card at all, Hobby Heater?
No, I never saw it.
No. So I saw the card. He wanted to sell the Josh Allen and the regular Patrick Mahomes Donruss for $2,300. That's what he proposed to me. There wasn't really any comps on it. Yeah, here I was looking at the surface and kind of trying to see, is there any scratches on it? Because I know there would be a tough grade. The surface looked super clean. The corners, for me, it looked super clean. But I didn't know until the back because I didn't want to pull it out of the one-touch case. You flipped it over and were able to see the back of it had a little bit of the pinched corners. See, this guy even here was looking at it and kind of seeing that the surface looked pretty darn good, but the back and the back corners were kind of the biggest thing for me. Is that kind of what you noticed as well?
Yeah, I mean, those paper cards, that's one of the things you gotta look for, and it's easier to see on the back. And it was a tough corner. Like, you were kind of hoping for an 8, even if the subgrades for everything else were really nice.
So ultimately, we decided to pass on the Josh Allen. I mean, looking at the corner for me, I don't even think it was worth getting graded, because if it comes back a 6 or a 7, I mean, that's not even going to be a card that I think somebody would want to get graded or to want to buy at that point. I mean, what were your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, the only catalyst was like football coming up. Like, you would have flipped it raw. Who knows what it would have done. I mean, everything Josh Allen has appreciated, so maybe there was a play there, but definitely not great.
Yeah. So we ended up passing on that deal. I think it was just a little too much for what it was, a little too much risk with the corner being pinched. So in this next video, there was a guy that brought us a couple cards, was looking to kind of cash out and sell the cards. We actually took a look at him. What was it? It was like a Jalen Hurts and I think a Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow.
Mosaic. Yeah,
it was a couple Mosaic cards, and looking at them, we looked up the comps. I think they were PSA 10, so they weren't like they were bad cards, but we looked up the comps and, say they were $500 for the cards. He wanted to get $500 for the cards, and that's where I think if you're somebody that is bringing cards into a show and wanting to cash out on them and sell them, you have to be prepared to not want full comps for them. A dealer's not even going to get full comps for them selling it at a show, and they have all the expenses of a table fee, driving to get there, their time spending the whole entire weekend at the show. So you have to keep that in mind. If you're going to take cards to a show, you cannot get full comps for them most of the time. I mean, there might be a few off scenarios where that happens, but if the cards comp for $450 or $500, your dealer is going to want to sell them for probably $450 or maybe $500. So he's going to have to buy them for less than that. So just be prepared to sell your cards for less than what comps are if you want to move them. Otherwise, there might be some other options for you, or trading instead of cashing out or selling them to a dealer.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of like just be self-aware, like know who you're selling to. Like, we're dealers, right? For stuff that's like run-of-the-mill stuff like that, high pop, like Mosaic stuff, like that stuff can come to it. Like, we'll get a lot of that stuff coming up to us. Like, we can't pay full comp and wait for it to go up. We have to buy it below comp so that if we need to out it right now, like, at least we'll make some money on, for hustling it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to understand that, like, that base stuff is a dime a dozen. Like he said, it comes up all the time to the table, and then you have to compete against everybody at the show because everybody has the base card. Right. I mean, there's 20,000 of some of the base cards in the PSA 10, so everybody has multiple of those. You got to price, competitively compared to everybody else at the show. So
yeah, absolutely. Oh, this was a great clip. Sports Card Brokerage and I were looking at buying out a dealer's entire collection. So he wanted $8,000 for this entire collection. There was, I think, like 4 or 5 cards that were pretty nice. They were high end cards.
Yeah.
Like a Herbert auto.
There were
Auto.
two headliners. Where
there was a couple cards.
Purple Power out of 49, Herbert auto PSA 9, and then a Burrow one. That's
Yeah. I wasn't convinced on it. As you see, I was kind of saying that there was just too much raw stuff in it, and I wasn't really convinced. You kind of thought we could get our money out of the 2 big cards, and then the rest was kind of profit.
Where I wanted to be,
But we couldn't come to a deal with the guy. He was a little overpriced on the stuff, and I just think it was too much work and too much time for us to get in to purchase all of that raw stuff to try and move it. It's a lot of time. I think we could have made some money on it. I just think for our time, there's better opportunities, and that's why we ultimately decided to pass on this one.
Yeah.
So this was a section here where, what did you do?
Yeah, so as you guys seen in like all the videos, I've had CSG out the yin yang, right? So this was like the early stages of it where I was trying to get rid of it.
Yep.
I had a boatload of it. My whole case was filled. This guy had a KD Topps 8.5. They're at like a year low. He found the right buyer. He was interested in the CSG stuff, so I traded like, I think 4 or 5 of them. We valued them at like $25 a piece, and I traded like 5 of them, and I got the $150 KD.
Yeah, it's awesome. This is another deal. Hobby heaters. You want to take it away on this one?
Yeah, so he bought up a Quickly or something. It was like a 1 of 1. He was trying to sell me on. He had some other cool stuff. It was he had a bunch of the Heroes cards from the Prestige set. They were all graded, I think PSA 10, most of them. And he actually did have this Jalen Hurts Kaboom PSA 9, but I think he was asking too much at the time. I wasn't super interested in the Quickly. He wanted to trade. He was interested in some stuff I had, and then he wanted to cash me out on some other stuff that he had. But I don't know. I just wasn't really feeling it overall.
And then at the end of the show, I had a couple cards that I purchased in the previous video at the Seminole card show, and I just brought them just to fill up my showcase. So I didn't have any, or I didn't not have any cards in my showcase. So I wanted to kind of cash out on them. I didn't want to move them over to the next week. Went around and looked at a couple dealers here. I actually was able to find a guy. Was able to cash out at 75% of the comps. I actually bought them at like 75% of comps, so I didn't really lose any money, but I also didn't want to show up to a show with 0 cards in my showcase, so it kind of worked out for me to cash on those, got my money back out, and I was able to then reinvest that in the next episode. So overall, Bay Area was, I thought, a successful show. Mm-hmm. You were able to cash out on some of your CSG and trade up for some cards. I was able to buy and move a couple things, as well as cash out on some of the cards that I bought in the previous episode. And then you had some decent deals as well.
Yeah, I got a deal done actually that it's going to come into another segment into play later. So, so we'll backtrack on that and we'll catch up with that later.
Yeah, so it's a great show overall. But this was the first episode of Money Talks. Plenty more to come. Like he said, a lot more episodes that we're going to go in some different topics and some different discussions. So stay tuned for those. Thanks, guys.